Welcome to Going Nowhere podcast. My name is Mark.
I'm Johnny.
I'm Sheldon.
And I watched the Conjuring trailer and I liked it until the end. That's pretty much
horror movie trailers like to do.
The jump scare trope.
Okay, so I was super stoked for this because James wants going back to direct it, right?
Yeah.
So finally started watching it. Atmosphere was pretty damn cool. The last scene of the trailer is when crosses start flipping upside down in the room.
Creepy satanic thing.
And it was pretty creepy. And then the entire time I was like, please no fucking jump scares. Please no fucking jump scares. Don't ruin this. And sure enough, in that same atmosphere-filled scene, an old man comes out of the dark.
Knowhere.
And you get that shock noise.
There's no context to it or anything,
No.
so it just doesn't... It's just a loud noise and a thing
How
coming
does
at
an
you.
old man coming out of a corner tell me anything about the fucking
movie
story?
at all?
It's bad enough when there's jump scares in the movie where there's a jump and then it just ends up being their friend or something, but in a trailer when it's just completely uncalled for at the very end, for instance.
Only certain movies earn bullshit jump scares. I think the one that comes most to my mind is Drag Me to Hell, where you're scared of a handkerchief. Like, the entire movie...
Because there was so much tension building up.
But that handkerchief is constantly there, so you're always like, ooh.
Oh, shit.
Oh, it's attached to a gypsy.
It's pretty spooky, but random old man jumping out at you.
Also good horror movie, Chocolate,
Chocolate?
by Johnny Depp as a gypsy.
What?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
I
not,
thought
it's
it
not
sounded like something you just made
I
up.
was really hoping you had seen this. It's a romance movie.
But is it as scary as The Ridiculous Six?
It has gypsies.
It's pretty spooky.
The fact that
That's
it became
also-
number one? Oh, God, that's disgusting.
Okay, so I was talking to somebody about The Conjuring 1, the trailer for that one. There is that clapping at the end of the but
That's brilliant. That's
the
part of the movie.
The beauty of that one compared to the fucking random jump scares you see in all the other trailers is that the hand slowly moves out, and slow enough that you for a minute your brain goes, "Oh, what the fuck is that?" before it claps.
And it makes contextual sense with what's been happening in the trailer.
Exactly.
Not just random old man hopping up.
But the entire time you're like, oh, there's this invisible demon, and it just turns out to be old man Withers from next door. Who knows? He was maybe hiding in the dark, wearing a Superman outfit, wanting to.
Huh? Where am I?
I'm here, guys.
Ah!
It's pretty
And
scary.
I like to watch. Sometimes dressed like Spider-Man and sometimes dressed like Superman.
No.
But always in the closet.
Only Marvel or DC.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's terrible.
So, another shitty jump. Well, okay, so after watching the Conjuring 2 trailer, I thought to myself, why are we doing these jump scares for every Hollywood horror movie trailer now?
And I would say that...
And when did we
it
start
started?
doing it?
I don't know when it started, but I know it's because when you're going to see a movie, if you're going to see a horror movie, you're going to get horror movie ads. That's pretty much how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what builds up the tension more than a cheap-ass jump scare? And you don't have to work for a jump scare. You don't have to build tension or atmosphere to get you to like characters. You just have to make something go really loud. People jump.
It's lazy
Yeah,
fucking
it's
filmmaking.
It's a way to get a cheap reaction out of the audience.
And a cheap reaction might sell it more than create the atmosphere that you need to build up.
You're
And
like,
you only have
oh,
a
that
minute.
made me
Especially-
feel something
especially
briefly. I'm
'cause
gonna go
the-
see it.
The majority of that audience, they're not the brightest people.
You mean us?
No,
Aw.
the people who think
That was
Ouija
mean.
was good or
Everyone
Ouija.
thinks that was good.
But a lot of
A
people
lot of
thought
people.
that was
It
good.
made enough money.
Yeah, same with Annabelle. That
Yeah,
was
Probably because people
terrible.
are like, it's Halloween.
But people
fuck
are like,
it.
oh my god, that trailer. You have to realize, as somebody who absolutely loves horror, the best fucking horror movies are the ones that don't
Atmosphere and
have
tension.
jump scares. And when they do have jump scares, it's slow enough that your
See it
brain
coming?
processes what's coming up
And it earns
rather than
Those make the best trailers as well. We've seen it in Goodnight Mommy. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I think that trailer built up tension, but then at the end they kind of had that intense few flashes of scenes. There's the fire and the kids with masks.
But
But it wasn't cheap, right?
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
built up.
And it wasn't like jump, jump, jump. It was like, oh my god, this movie looks intense. There's a difference between that and just kind of having
loud
somebody.
noise.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
I could literally be watching Midnight in Paris or Love Actually, and if somebody just popped out, I'd jump.
Well, how many horror movies have we seen together? One or two. We've seen several.
One or two.
And Mark is probably my favorite to go see horror movies with, because no matter what it is, any noise at all that's slightly out of nowhere, he fucking jumps 10 feet.
Yeah,
And
my girlfriend finds it fucking hilarious.
It is hilarious. It's ridiculous and awesome, and you can tell he's enjoying the movie. And
sometimes you can't
bullshit.
help it.
And those are all bullshit because those usually aren't earned.
Yeah, and people usually go like, "Oh, you're such a pussy for like doing the jump scares." No, anyone would jump at like sudden noise. I'm just very like when I watch movies, I get into the movies, right? So I'm like completely zoned in.
It's a natural
so as soon as
physiological
that
reaction.
Random fucking jump happens, I have to jump.
Sometimes it works if there's like a payoff. If you've got this build up, and it's just skin crawling, and then suddenly out of nowhere, there's kind of just an abrupt sound or something. When it's not intentional from
Insidious
the
movie did it really, really well near the beginning. There's a scene where there's a baby monitor going off, and the mom hears someone fucking talking on the other side. So she runs up the stairs, and for like a brief second, she goes up the room. Their room is entirely red where the baby's crib is, and there's just a figure standing behind the crib. You don't see it long enough.
Oh my god!
But
I jumped so fucking high in that part.
Brilliant.
But it was
earns
scary.
it.
It was
It
unexpected,
stood there,
right?
like the tension. And okay, so exactly, perfect example. Best way you build up that atmosphere. You don't need somebody just randomly jumping out of the way. That person was standing behind the crib. That's all they did.
You see it. And it works really well in a lot of movies, like The Grudge did it well, and I think Insidious 2 did it well for certain parts, where the creepy stuff happens out of focus.
Yeah.
So the main character will be walking by, like, a hallway, or in The Grudge, you'll be going up an elevator, and in the background, through the window, you'll see something creepy. But if you don't notice it, you don't notice it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're paying attention, that just sort of, like, gnaws at you, right?
And if it's a good movie, you'll be in that
invested
in that
into it.
zone. And the best thing about it is if it's a good movie like that, you'll watch it a second time and be like, holy shit, like there's something new to discover, right?
The trailer for Insidious, though,
Was great. Was fantastic.
Up until
the last second, literally the last second.
when it was just the cheap jump scare right at the end.
Cheapest of jump scares.
Yeah. So these new Hollywood trailers, they'll cut to the title scene, and then they'll immediately like do that last bit in that trailer, and then it's a jump.
Always.
Always.
It's never not a jump.
So like, for example, The Conjuring, there was a second trailer that had come out, and it was the one where she's looking at the music box in the mirror, and then there's just a random sheep scare.
Yeah.
With
The Conjuring, though, I do want to give it a lot of credit, just as an aside. The very end of the movie has what could have been the cheapest possible jump scare of all time. The music box that's been playing this creepy tune opens up, and the camera zooms in on it, and it just plays its song, and normally as the song ends, something scary happens.
But then it just
It just stops, ends. It doesn't give you a cheap jump scare, but it sets you up so you're like on edge, waiting
and that
for
was scarier than ever
payoff.
throwing a jump
It's
scare.
like a monster movie or like a horror movie. It's scarier to imagine the monster than actually see the monster.
Yeah, playing on the person's imagination
and their fears.
And so, I have a feeling the reason why Hollywood movie trailers do the jump scares at the end compared to like indie horror movies is the people who go see these indie horror movies are like actual horror fans, right? They're like people who are like super into that culture. When you look at Hollywood horror movies, it's people who want to just like have a cheap scare, right? They're like, hey,
You mean teenagers?
yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, let's bring our friends and just like,
Oh, how many times did you jump?
Hollywood
6.
horror movies have always been cheap, bloated affairs that they make for minimal amounts of money, and then people will flock to see because they don't have many other choices.
Unfortunately, it's not just for the horror genre.
I know, but the horror genre, I think, gets hurt the most
gets
out
hurt.
of
Yeah, definitely.
all of the genres. They just...
It used to not be that way, though.
I semi-disagree. Every once in a while you get a blockbuster movie, like The Exorcist or The Shining, but those require...
Or The Conjuring,
I
I guess, yeah.
But, like, The Shining, I think that was the most money ever spent on a horror movie, really, that I can think of. Like, the amount of time and effort that went into making that compared to Annabelle and
Kubrick had a
Activity.
green slate for everything, though.
And he earned that.
Yeah.
Because he's an amazing director. Whatever he wanted, he could make.
So, like, I'll give examples of good trailers. There's that trailer for the movie The Witch.
I like
very
that
compelling.
Where it's all just, like, the way the guy explained it is he filmed this movie to make it feel like a nightmare. Not just, like, random jump scares, but, like, actual, like, what the fuck am I watching? I really shouldn't be watching this kind of feel.
Well, that was in the trailer. There's a quote from someone that says, "It feels like I'm watching something that I shouldn't be."
Yeah.
And that kind of describes what I like about horror movies. It's that skin-crawling effect, right? Where it just feels wrong, and it's just...
Yeah, and there's a point
has that effect,
there's a point in the trailer where I thought they were going to do a jump scare where the girl is playing peekaboo with the baby on the floor.
Yeah.
And
then it's just
gone. Instead of having a baby on the floor, the baby's gone. And then that's it. And, like, there's a point where the guy's walking, or the son is walking towards a cabin in the woods, and you'd think, oh, it's going to be a jump scare, but it's literally just some weird thing, and the trailer doesn't show it entirely, but something is crawling out of that cabin. And it's just, like, tension like that. It Follows did a great job in its trailer. Didn't do any jump scares. Goodnight Mommy, like you said, was just a bunch of flash of intense moments, but
at the very end,
it
was all tension based throughout the trailer.
Yeah, they don't give anything away.
Babadook as well was a good trailer, I think.
The Babadook was a good trailer, but
there were some flaws in it for other reasons. But you are a fan of the old Poltergeist movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that trailer's pretty good, considering the movie was great.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the old Poltergeist versus the new?
Well, I didn't see the new one because
it looks like trash.
It's basically just a money grab. What's the best thing to do? Make a cheap horror movie, but also make that a remake. The only good thing about it, I will have to say, is it had Sam Rockwell in it, so I thought about going, but I love the old Poltergeist way too much to do that.
All the reviews for the new one were horrible.
Yeah, well,
right.
If you, and this is kind of the same example, if you watch the old Poltergeist trailer, there is no jump scares. There is that atmospheric build to it. It's something memorable. To, like, even the trailer, right? That is great craftsmanship for a film. The new one was your typical Hollywood bullshit, and it had a jump scare in the trailer more than once. Yeah. So, horror remakes kind of piss me off. I really hope that they don't end up doing an Exorcist remake.
Oh, they would turn it into trash.
Yeah. Granted, there's so many Exorcist movies now that...
3 main ones, and then they did origin ones.
Oh, no, I meant just, like, in general.
Oh,
like,
as
not just The Exorcist.
Yeah, okay.
There's a whole bunch of Exorcist movies.
There's so many.
Like Deliver Me from Evil or something like that.
Exorcism of Emily Rose, Possession... there are so many. The Last Rite with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
The Rite.
It's so bad where you see a trailer for some sort of Exorcist movie and you're like, is that a sequel to one? Is that a remake? There's so many that you're not sure if there's ties or if it's trying something new.
And we get it. A girl becomes possessed by a thinger. And then Thinger's back.
Yeah, and the thing about The Exorcist is that they built tension throughout the movie. Like, they just shot these, like, long scenes of, like, these horrific things happening. All of the new Exorcist movies now are just like, oh, now she's crawling on the wall, and then jump scare, and then
they start off
jump scare, and it's just so quick that you don't feel the... Like, The Exorcist is pretty much the entire movie is, like, dealing with her. Right?
The Exorcist, the weird thing about it, I found on rewatching it when I was older, was that they do go into her being possessed pretty quickly.
Yeah,
like you don't
struggle. The whole movie is pretty much
when
dealing
she
with
gets
her.
Yeah.
But a lot of these new Exorcist movies is like building up tension to when they finally get possessed, and then the last scene
is them dealing with it.
It worked in The Conjuring because The Conjuring is a ghost story.
The worst part about The Conjuring I found was how easy it was for her to get unpossessed.
Yeah.
Just be a good person. Oh, okay, I'm unpossessed.
I think that's how it was. Did you guys ever see The Last Exorcism?
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
I don't think it was
Is that the found
great,
footage
but-
one?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but the girl ends up. I don't even really
The
remember
red
that
couple.
well, but I think her exorcism came late as well.
And wasn't there like a cult out there with the baby or something?
I don't
Possessed
know.
him. It was ridiculous.
I remember something about her throwing a chair.
It happens.
The best thing about horror movies and is a good horror movie kind of looks at humanity, and like brings up the horrors of like reality of humanity. I would say The Babadook killed it for that with depression.
Without spoiling too much, the trailer portrays the Babadook as a monster movie, and it's a very tension-filled trailer, but it shows the Babadook as a menacing monster that's always hunting them, and it's just around the corner, and it's very grudge-like in a sense. The actual movie doesn't have that same feel by any stretch.
Yeah, as someone who's only seen the trailer and not seen the movie, I definitely get that impression from the trailer, because I think it was deliberate, right?
I think it's going to sell more when you sell it as a traditional horror movie.
And that's the thing. A lot of people get mad at the directors for the way the trailers are cut, but everyone has to realize that the trailers are cut by
other people. The production company, probably, in most cases.
A trailer is to bring people in, right? And how do you do that?
Making it interesting and fun.
Exactly. Because if you had shown the slow process of Babadook,
what happens, yeah.
I don't think anyone would have, especially on an indie film, you want to sell it as much as possible.
See, at least with the Babadook,
trailer,
it's a good movie. They've been doing misleading trailers for shitty movies.
Making them look much better than they are.
Much better. The movie that I hated so much.
Is it Drive?
It's Drive. Oh my god. Why is that trailer thing?
The trailer made it look like Fast.
It looked like Jason Statham movie, any of them.
Yeah.
He drove in it. And then in the movie...
He drove in one, I think...
Two scenes.
Two scenes?
There were two scenes. The opening scene, and then the robbery scene.
Yeah.
And they showed just as much in the trailer.
All of the driving scenes were in the trailer.
That's such bullshit.
The opening scene in the movie is actually engaging and interesting, and then sharp decline. Very sharp decline.
A lot of people say that soundtrack was really good. I didn't get into it. I thought it was... I think the soundtrack got hurt for me because how bad and slow that movie was.
But you liked that movie at the time.
I walked out of it being like, okay, I do like the slow build to ultra violence. It's always something I've always liked, and I do like slow building movies when they're done right. And I think Drive had some points that were done well. All of the acting was fucking terrific, and
even Ryan Gosling,
except for Ryan Gosling. I don't know,
except for the one person who's in it the most.
Yeah.
He must get paid $20 million a line. It's ridiculous. He doesn't say...
That's not fair.
Every line he says, every line in the movie is in the trailer.
But, yeah, I mean, Drive made it seem like this, super cool crime movie. Yeah, crime movie.
There's a lot of misleading trailers out there. Another one I can think of is Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, that...
Because of the way that they coin it as just
a Tim Burton movie.
A Tim Burton, same thing that Tim Burton comes out with all the time. And they had a little bit in the trailer where it was
probably a 10-second of Johnny Depp singing, but that's it.
It's there's going to be a scene of him singing. Cool. Nope. Whole movie.
Now, Mark does try to qualify it.
I don't know. I do agree that if you had no idea, and a lot of people don't know what the fuck Sweeney Todd is, right? But I think that the movie was made for people who love musicals and who love Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd was a musical way before.
Oh, yeah.
But what's more popular, Sweeney Todd or Tim Burton? Let's be honest here, right?
Tim Burton.
Hands down at that time, because that was after some of his biggest hits. Yeah. He's only gone downhill.
And before Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I really liked Sweeney Todd, but yeah, if you had no idea what the fuck that was, you'd probably just be like,
I didn't realize I paid money to go see a musical.
Yeah.
It was a good movie, but not knowing that it was a musical going in felt cheap.
If they had shown like maybe one or two more songs, or just like little snippets of that would work.
Maybe a disclaimer in the trailer.
Almost
note this is a musical.
all of the trailer was talking though. Was them in their talking scenes.
Yeah. So for about, and it's a pretty long trailer actually.
It's like a 3-minute trailer,
Yeah, it was
2.5
a
minute
3-minute trailer, and I think they only sing in like
it's
a
10
minute and
seconds
a
and a minute and a half in.
Yeah. What else is? Oh yeah. Oh god. I remember seeing the trailer for In Bruges.
Yeah, you mean the guy who did Sherlock Holmes and Rock
Yeah,
and Roller?
it looked like
Richie Guy movie.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie.
Richie
yeah.
Guy?
Richie
Guy.
Richie Guy. No, it looked like a Guy Ritchie. Like it had the font like how Sherlock does it and stuff like that, and it was supposed to be this like it's got that like cool comedy action sound,
like most Guy Ritchie.
Kiss, kiss, bang, bang.
No, but the music they used to put in that
was
trailer,
natural, lock, stock, perfect.
It was like it's like surfer dude music, you know that.
Like it's gonna be this fun action
comedy
romp in
it's
the
a
hay.
slow black comedy
It's
about
really
a
slow and
hitman
quiet.
who killed a boy and now is gonna get killed for it.
Yeah, the bits of comedy in it aren't even like they're dark. It's dark comedy mostly.
And while that sounds dark and dramatic, as I haven't seen In Bruges yet, you know what is dark and dramatic? The fucking trailer for the kids' movie Hook. Holy shit!
You mean the horror movie Hook?
Like, oh my god, the trailer is so dark and brooding and just terrifying.
Yeah, they'd never show Neverland
Ever.
in that trailer one bit.
But they show, like, Hook just being this horrible...
It's him kidnapping kids,
Yeah.
and then it's like the old people in London being like, "You need to go save the kids
from the worst villain of all time."
And when it's a movie directed towards kids, that sort of trailer is not the kind of way to go.
Literally, it opens up with Hook's hand ripping out paper in like the most villainous way possible, and then at the end of the trailer, it does the exact same fucking thing.
You wouldn't think there's different ways to rip up paper, but
they don't do it differently. They do the same thing, but it's horrifying.
And it like has that slow like shot of like the door opening or the window opening up when he's gonna kidnap the kids,
and like the light going through in that creepy manner. And
it's like it's super like.
And the intense
super
music
dark.
And like, holy fuck.
I really recommend anybody who's listening to fucking check that trailer out. It's fucking hilarious.
It's very misleading.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So, yeah, that movie didn't show... Like, it
didn't show any of Neverland.
No.
Which I think was a good choice, sort of. You knew it was Peter Pan.
But they could have, like, built it up. Yeah, they do say he's Peter Pan, but they say it in the most menacing way of, like, you need to... save it from the murderer Hook.
The guy who's going to slit your children's throats and piss on their corpses.
And the majority... Well, that was dark. Some of that movie has, like... It's not just... It's not just Peter Pan. It's like... They focus on the kids and the Lost Boys, too, right? And they don't show any of that in the trailer.
No.
It's just all about Hook and how... fucking terrifying he is.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of like I'm trying to think of other movie trailers that like focused basically on one character, but when you actually went and saw the movie,
Inglourious Bastards.
I guess, yeah.
I just watched the trailer again. Yeah. I've seen that movie a lot of times, but it's kind of strange seeing the trailer now again. That the trailer focuses a lot on Brad Pitt's character
exclusively.
Yeah,
like I show all of his scenes,
but the majority of it is the girl who owns the theater.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely her movie and her story, and then the Bastards is kind of the side story that ties it all together.
Yeah,
but yeah, I wouldn't call Aldo Rain the main character, but you could tell that if they're like, oh, we need the trailer to show all of him and his quirky, cool guy attitude.
Everyone loves Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt sells more than her.
Yeah.
She isn't dressed up in a bikini.
Yeah, that's true. But like it made it feel like it was just going to be concentrated on that group.
Killing Nazis.
And killing Nazis.
Barely any of Hans Landa in it. Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Which I think he had a larger role in the movie than Brad Pitt.
And the best role in the movie, hands down.
Oh, certainly.
Super engaging.
I'm glad I didn't see the trailer before watching the movie, because I think that might have been
You would
a
have
little
been
bit misleading. Yeah.
Something different.
I'd fucking watch that trailer over and over and over again.
Because everyone can quote 999. Oh, yes. Right?
Yeah. Mike Myers was in that movie.
He sure was.
What the fuck?
He was barely in that movie.
Barely, but he was in it.
I like how he's putting comedy actors in his.
It was
movies.
supposed to be Simon Pegg. It was supposed to be Simon Pegg in that role, and then Simon Pegg wasn't available, so Simon Pegg was like, "Hey, you should get Mike Myers.
He hasn't been in a movie in
He needs
years.
some money. He needs to eat."
In many ways, Simon Pegg is the Adam Sandler for slightly better comedians.
I really liked Mike Myers in his short role, though.
Yeah, and like, great role for him. Great role for Jonah Hill in Django Unchained.
Yeah,
Why the
great.
fuck was Channing Tatum in The
Hateful
Hateful
Eight.
Eight? He didn't say anything funny. And the only reason why
Is that why you thought he was there?
yeah, why the fuck would you have Channing Tatum? He's
not
get his head
necessarily a comedic actor, though.
that's true. Yeah.
Like, I think he's trying to do more serious roles. It was just a really unnecessary role. Like,
Yeah,
It could have been anybody, but like, why Channing
only
Tatum?
reason he was in that movie was so someone could do certain things to a certain man's testicles in that movie, thus rendering him pretty fucking useless.
Yeah. For some reason, that happens in Tarantino movies.
Testicles being...
Yeah, it was in Inglourious Bastards, and...
Oh yeah,
He has a testicle
It was in
fetish along with
Django
his foot
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing we should talk about is trailers that give everything away, because
Yeah,
there are a lot of trailers that just, you watch them and you're like, well, and then you go see the movie.
Oh, I've seen this already. It was in the trailer.
That happened. Okay, so I did know the whole thing.
Because we were talking about Hook and how it never shows Neverland.
Anything, yeah.
And like good trailers, I could think of like Inception. You had no fucking idea what the hell Inception was about until you actually saw the movie.
I watched Inception and I still didn't know what it was
Granted that
about.
that entire movie is convoluted bullshit.
Oh, it's not that tough.
No, it's not hard to follow.
No,
it's just convoluted.
fucking dumb.
Oh, it's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
But if you really think of the concept, a dream within a dream within a dream, layers of dreams.
I would argue that Interstellar is just as obnoxious and bullshit.
Oh yeah,
as that.
Loved Interstellar. Didn't like the ending of Interstellar.
What was the trailer like for that?
It was Matthew McConaughey driving a car and telling people, I drove this before I got paid to drive it. Oh, that was another thing. Damn you, McConaughey.
I'm
Squinting
driving
into
the
the horizon.
Yeah.
No, that was a pretty good trailer, I think. I think that
It didn't give anything away. Like,
it demonstrated that they were going to go into space.
Trailers are generally quite good.
Yeah.
Same for the Batman movies that he did.
like, especially because that trailer ends with their spaceship going into the black hole, which then ends
That's
on
like a third of the movie.
Yeah, and it like that shot ends, and you're like, "Holy shit! What happens at the like?
Where are they gonna
where
go?
do they go? Like, do they survive? What's happening?"
The Martian. Now, what happened in that trailer? Was that?
No, I don't.
I remember they had a few of the comedic lines where they show that he created vegetation.
Yeah,
that was a great trailer.
They didn't show any of the
trailer.
ending of them retrieving him, though,
Which
from what I remember.
I don't think they did either, and I think they set it up really well to demonstrate that it wasn't going to necessarily be just a miserable existential crisis movie where he's alone. Oh, another movie that ruined, that wrecked, the trailer ruined everything, The Grey. It showed it off as wolves fighting Liam Neeson in a battle. No.
Wait, that's not what it's about?
It's an existential slow burn movie
about wolves.
No.
Damn it.
It's about...
Dances with wolves.
There's a lot of dancing and making out with wolves.
Sweet.
It's a slow burn movie. It's not an action movie.
It's like my porn search.
I think that's probably the most common thing that happens, where they're like, okay, our movie's all slow and shitty, we gotta make the trailer look more action-y.
What would they do for 2001: A Space Odyssey these days?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, what the fuck?
What would you even use?
Just black screen.
They would show a lot of Hal.
They would show Hal, and they would show the monkey bashing the other monkey's brain in at the beginning.
Yeah, and then they would
repeat that.
Yeah.
On loop.
Wasn't that 2001: A
It's
Space
basically
Odyssey?
all there was to it. My God.
They just hit fast forward on this fucking spaceship coming in.
Like zooming in Star Wars style.
Yeah,
But
Sorry,
movies
copyright.
that
Copyright infringement.
showed off way too much. I don't even remember watching the trailer. Mark showed it to me. James Bond. We've talked about his other films and how much we love Quantum of Solace.
God, I love James
Inspector.
Bond.
God, I love Quantum
But
of Solace.
my God, Pierce Brosnan is the worst James Bond of all time.
He's the worst.
He ruined Bond.
He's worse than that one guy who did that one
Timothy
movie.
Dalton,
No,
Roger
No.
Moore,
There was
Sean
Jack Black.
Connery.
I can't remember his name
No,
right
Mark
now.
wasn't in them.
Yeah, I wasn't in that. Why do you keep bringing up Jack Black? Like
You're
it's
here,
a fucking
in the
normal
room.
thing.
Because I'm talking to you.
I'm not-
But the movie that kind of got extremely ruined by the trailer, GoldenEye, classic, especially for gamers.
But what happens to the villain?
Well, in the movie, without knowing anything about the trailer, 006, 007's partner at the time when they're infiltrating the base, dies. You see him, he dies, and you're like, okay.
Start of the movie.
Start of the movie, and then like 2/3 of the movie, he shows up again, and he's like, oh, I'm back. It was all an elaborate hoax. That's a twist.
By the way, I'm evil.
And in the trailer, 30 seconds in, he's like, by the way, I'm evil. There's the twist. Ruined.
What a twist.
Demolished.
And then you see it happen at the beginning of the movie, and you're like, oh, well, he's coming back.
There's no suspension. There's no tension anymore.
Yeah, and like that's pretty much like the whole thing that keeps the movie suspenseful and like you curious, right?
Like,
If
Who's
they-
behind it all?
Yeah, exactly. And if they ruin that in the fucking trailer, the only real reason you're going to see that movie, if you've seen the trailer, is to know the action or to see the action scenes.
Certainly not see Pierce Brosnan.
Oh God, he was so bad. But yeah, that was ridiculous. And they showed the best action scenes in the movie. They showed the dam where he jumps off at the beginning of the movie, and then
Yeah.
they showed the tank going through the city. Like, ugh.
You know what else? You know what other movie had pretty much the entire movie in its trailer? Free Willy.
Yeah, it literally showed the ending.
The ending shot of the trailer is Free Willy being free.
Well,
Jumping
isn't that
over
in the
the-
title? Come on.
Spoiler.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I guess.
It's like we want to free Willy. Will we free Willy or won't we?
The adventure
free Willy?
of freeing Willy.
Yeah.
How funny would it have been if it actually ended on Free
Willy
Willy
dying?
landing on
On-
the rocks?
Crushing him. Yeah, problem solved.
Wasn't that a
What-
gag
what
in
was that?
Family Guy?
Guts spill
Yeah, it was
open.
something.
What was it?
Yeah.
There was a gag in something, and he's just bleeding everywhere.
It's just a
Great.
fucking dead whale, and everyone's just like,
Oh, well.
carry on.
But yeah, it's like, GoldenEye was kind of spoiled by the fact that you knew Sean Bean was the villain.
Yeah, that
It's
006.
like,
It's
well,
crazy.
you know he's going to die.
Did you either of you guys see Quarantine?
Okay,
I might have seen, I probably saw the trailer.
watched a bit of it. I like Wreck. Wreck was awesome.
It's the American remake of it, right?
Yeah.
My favorite part about it is the trailer literally, 100% literally shows the exact final shot in it.
Yeah.
The very last shot of
And-
the movie.
And it's the last shot is the main character being dragged away.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the movie.
And
Why would they have that in the trailer?
Right.
okay, a lot of horror. Back to horror movie trailers, really, really quickly. A lot of horror movie trailers are like, oh, well, it's not scary if people don't die in the trailer. So they show certain people dying in trailers, like some main characters, and you're like,
Like-
why? Why the
like
fuck
we've
are you
talked
gonna
about,
like?
that's not what makes it
In
scary.
Insidious, did anyone die besides at the very end?
No one
when she
died
gets
in that
choked.
entire
She gets
movie.
killed. One person dies.
Oh, in Insidious, right?
yeah.
Yes.
And The Conjuring, no one dies.
No,
No,
one
no,
does.
I don't think so.
No one dies, and you don't need death. That's scary.
Death is
and
no
all.
longer scary.
It can be if it's utilized properly, but after you've seen 28 Days Later and all the other zombie shit that's come out, death is like whatever.
Where death is the
Yeah,
only
28
thing you
days
can
later.
fear.
is-
28 Days, but that wasn't death.
No.
28 Days Later was rage
I
virus.
fucking
right?
love that.
That was good. That was a very compelling take on zombies.
God, I would
Also-
welcome death with open arms.
Half of that movie is like survival of that and dealing with that, and the other half is like being around soldiers who don't have a woman and are power hungry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then humanity becomes more of a threat in that movie than
But that's
the
the point of zombie movies in general.
Yeah.
That people are scarier
people are
than
shitty.
the zombies.
People are shitty.
That new Batman vs Superman trailer definitely looks like they kind of give a lot of it away.
Zack Snyder has come out and said that it hasn't, but
They were saying that the it's Abomination isn't the final act.
What the
Not
fuck are they
Abomination.
gonna?
Or not
What are they
Abomination.
doing?
I always mix them up.
What are they jam packing in there? It's like
Everything.
it's like
It better
the
be
cupboard's already having trouble closing.
You would think
Why are
the
you
end of the
shoving more food
movie
in?
would be Wonder Woman coming in and teaming up with them, though.
It better be a 6-hour movie. Like,
It's like, okay, when I saw the trailer for Amazing Spider-Man 2,
ugh.
with all the fucking villains they threw into that trailer, you figured that like they'd be working together. I was really hoping that they weren't gonna do what Spider-Man 3 did, where it was like an enemy taken care of, other enemy taken care of, other enemy.
That's not necessarily like
Well,
Venom
Sandman
worked with
and
Sandman.
yeah, but
And
And
like
then
you
Harry
could have
showed up
seen
as a good
Rhino
guy.
go down at the beginning of Amazing Spider-Man 2. No one cares.
Why would
No one cares about Paul
Why would you
Giamatti
even
as
put
Rhino.
in that fucking movie?
It was to set up Sinister Six. That was the whole idea because they wanted to do their own universe, right?
Yeah, because they were like, "Oh, the Rhino! Like now we're just throwing enemies at you." now.
It did make it too bloated for
Yeah.
sure.
At the very end of the movie, at the end credits, it like hands over like Doc Ock's legs and the Vulture
Right.
and like a bunch of shit because they wanted their own Marvel universe.
So seeing just those three villains, you're like, "What the fuck?" Like this movie is just gonna be jam packed. But yeah, Batman vs Superman also looks jam packed.
With why did they show?
I don't want to
Doomsday?
watch 3
I can
hours.
already
of this
tell
fucking
the
movie.
pacing and structure is just going to be
Wacky.
way off.
Yeah.
But Zack Snyder likes to show off a lot in his trailers, like Sucker Punch. My God, Mark and I watched the trailer, and all the cool shit is spoiled in it.
Yeah, really.
Like the only thing they left out of the trailer, like the only scenes they left out of the trailer, were the fucking boring scenes that I didn't want to watch.
They showed all the cool shots
Yeah.
from the movie in the trailer.
They showed the dragon. They showed the
samurai. Yeah.
They showed the train level thing. They showed the Nazi zombies.
So when I saw that trailer, I was like, "Holy shit, this is going to be an amazing movie!"
What
Like
aren't they showing
if
us?
that's what they're showing us in the trailers,
Yeah.
like how much more like fantastic shit is there going to be in it? Nothing. Just fucking reality.
Well, everything else was slow paced, but I ended up liking the movie. I like that movie more than the two of you.
Hate that movie.
I don't hate it. I thought I was happy enough with the visual spectacle that I got. I was going in expecting to see ridiculousness on screen. I got ridiculousness on screen. It was badass watching.
My problem with that is the ridiculousness on screen was pretty much shown in the fucking trailers.
It was like, what was an extended trailer? Which is a movie.
But then you have to sit through all the fucking boring parts of that goddamn movie.
But Johnny's telling you it's cerebral.
But the way they broke it up,
No,
it was way better paced than a lot of movies like that.
No. It's fucking awful.
It's not that bad. We should
Maybe
rewatch
you need to rewatch it.
No, I tried to rewatch it like 3 times.
Whoa! You're spilling salt all over me.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Oh God! It burns! Oh!
What the fuck?
All the flavors in the world, Mark, and you picked salty.
No,
God damn it.
Yeah, well, I'm salty because that movie fucking murdered my hopes and dreams.
Wasn't that bad. You got to see a badass samurai fight. You got to see a bunch of hot chicks. You saw Nazi zombies. You saw a pretty cool dragon.
I really don't want to see like mentally like damaged
get raped and lobotomized.
Yeah,
that's a little fucked up. Don't get me wrong.
I'd rather just see an entire. And I know it's like there's theories that came out where that entire movie is about like what men view, like what men want, and like how.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those
in that
themes at play for sure.
Yeah, and
they have the guy.
It's like
big boss guy.
People are saying like it's a feminist movie that like takes a stab at what men wanted to see in that movie, what they actually got. Can I just have hot girls shooting robots and riding dragons and fighting samurais? That's all I want.
You can. It's called Kung Fury. You don't get it. But B movies do all that shit, man.
Yeah.
You're set. You just gotta stick to your B movies.
Yeah.
They can do that with really shitty visuals.
We mentioned some trailers that do it right, that don't show too much, and you know they're paced well and everything. Another good example, I think, is the new Star Wars.
Star Wars aced their trailer.
That's how you do a trailer for a movie that big.
Especially,
you don't show too much.
And they did something interesting where they did the trailer that didn't show anything except for like the landscaping and like some of the characters here and there.
And they showed the most important thing they could in the very first trailer: Han and Chewie.
Yeah,
we're home.
And he comes in and says it's true.
No.
Or that was in the second
one.
trailer.
The first one was just introducing, holy fuck, Han Solo and Chewie are back.
And in between that, they released the like behind the scenes where everything was like authentic. Like
BB-8 is a thing that exists. It's not CGI.
People built it. Yeah.
Stormtroopers are actually stormtroopers, not CGI.
Yeah, and people were talking about how like they're coming back to like doing the practical effects and everything like that. And then they released the second trailer.
And the second trailer had more action, but they didn't show really anything from like the third act. They showed glimpses of Kylo Ren.
You never really knew Kylo Ren or anything.
No, they didn't.
Like that, right?
They didn't show anything too revealing for sure.
You definitely didn't find out Kylo Ren's relationship to the Solos or anyone else.
Yeah, that's important for sure.
You didn't know who Rey was. You didn't know any characters' names until
their origins. Yeah,
anything about them except for what you saw on the merch. So like they put out toys that said Rey or Finn or
yeah.
You knew nothing about it going in from the trailer, and that's beautiful. And they set it up with such intense pacing, I found, that like it really draws you in and makes you compelled to see it. Like, what's gonna happen? What's happening to that Poe Dameron guy? And who's this intimidating, not Darth Vader?
I thought it was good because I was worried the trailer would shove too much nostalgia stuff into it, be like, remember this and this, which we sort of talked about was in the movie itself.
Yeah.
But the trailer didn't really do that. The trailer was very much its own, introducing the new characters.
Well, the going home thing, seeing them
at the very end, yeah.
But I think that's more just nostalgia.
And it did use the exact quote from Luke from.
But it didn't rely on that to hype people up, I think.
I think that anyone who knew the quote from Return of the Jedi, my sister has it, I have it, you have it. Whatever, that if people knew it, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's awesome, because it's Luke. And then you went into the movie, and spoilers.
Yeah.
There's almost too much Luke. Almost.
We watched a movie yesterday that we had seen the trailer for.
The trailer looked
before, and we heard, like, people were praising it all the time. Foxcatcher. If you're talking about misleading trailers, and trailers that I kind of have a feeling they gave a little bit too much away, but in the complete wrong direction that it should be in.
They showed pretty much all of the intense scenes, which there were very few.
It was so fucking.
They showed them all in the trailer.
2 hours of just like nothing, of like Michael Scott. It was just 2 hours of Michael Scott.
It was Michael Scott. Like, as someone who's watched all of the
Office, it'd be interesting to know from a perspective that wasn't ours, already having those,
Office experiences.
Dispositions.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we watched 9 episodes of The Office and watched like those episodes over and over and over and over again. So like just the way he talks, you're like, oh, it's Michael Scott.
Well, there's certain parts which are a little worse than others, where he's like, call me Eagle. Golden.
Some of the makeup looked really good. Some of the makeup
looked bad.
Looked
it's
bad.
Just cocaine, Mark.
Yeah. Stop it, Michael Scott. Stop it. No,
but
Jim, just try my cocaine.
I think it is especially hard, not just because of his role as Michael Scott, but because he only does comedy movies, or really mostly.
Yeah.
So as an actor who's billed for that sort of thing, and the director did say it was deliberate because he wanted the final scene that character's part of
to be kind of
ridiculous. To be a shock, right?
So because we were talking about misleading trailers and stuff like that, and then now that we've seen a movie that the trailer misled all of us,
it looked good.
Like entirely, just like we thought, it was going to be a great movie. You hear good things about it, you go see it. It's not that. Reminded me of Drive a lot.
Except I was expecting
more shit happens in Drive.
Drive was more misleading.
Yeah. I would say Drive was more misleading. At least it let you know that it was a movie about wrestling, and it was a movie about wrestling.
Yeah, but you knew it would be somewhat slow paced.
Unlike Drive, which was a Jason Statham movie.
I wouldn't recommend Foxcatcher personally as my review. It's slow. It doesn't go anywhere. The only real thing is it's like character. It doesn't even. There's no character development because you don't care about anyone.
Channing Tatum plays an ape at the beginning,
and he doesn't
an
talk.
ape at the middle, and then an ape at the end. At no point in time does he have an arc.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Mark Ruffalo kind of has a character arc. He's the
Mark
only...
Ruffalo has a lot more, and you care about his character a lot more.
But
maybe that's deliberate because he gets spoiler shot at the end. But
the first third of the movie, it's Channing Tatum as the main character, though,
and then it just shifts. And then it's that one scene too where suddenly out of nowhere Channing Tatum just stops caring, and then they do that. They're watching videos instead of training, and he comes in and slaps him, and then he's like, "I want your brother here."
It was, like,
and his brother shows up, and then it's all about his brother.
High tension, like, oh, he's gonna be, yeah. But it was the shady character.
One split minute where it completely changed the motivations of everyone, and you're like, "What the fuck? Where that's out of nowhere."
And anything they had built up to that point, which wasn't much, it was completely lost.
And I don't think Channing Tatum says a word after that. He just looks like a fucking ape the rest of the movie.
Like that first arc felt like Channing Tatum. He was trying to convince his brother to come, and then suddenly it was just like, oh, he's here.
Okay, done.
And then what? And now there's tension between brothers, but there wasn't tension.
There was no
brothers.
tension.
It was just Channing Tatum being angry at things.
Everything. He was like a spoiled brat. I did like his scene where he did get angry after he lost. Though. Yeah, I thought that was pretty tense.
One interesting tidbit I read was that him smashing the mirror wasn't supposed to happen, and he actually
did
bled,
that,
which is pretty hardcore.
Yeah. I could see it because that felt fucking.
And you can tell. You can tell.
And he was smashing himself in the face really hard with his fists. Like holy fuck, he was punching himself.
Yeah.
Like that for me, that was probably my favorite part of the film. I'm gonna give Channing Tatum. Right? He can beat himself up really well. I would always like to see Channing Tatum getting beaten up by himself.
What movies what movie trailers have you guys seen coming out 2016 that you're hoping doesn't mislead you at all?
Civil War.
The Forest. No, wait.
I've heard it's very mediocre.
It's awful.
I think it's going to be everything you. I think it's going to be everything you were worried it was going to be.
It's a January horror movie, and I've heard as far as January horror movies go, that are worse. But it's not good. It's a January horror movie.
It's a January.
I am very excited for Deadpool.
Yeah.
Very excited for Deadpool.
Deadpool just becomes this super slow Citizen Kane movie that when you go see it.
No, I don't think they could mislead us after that one.
No, Marvel does trailers really well.
That was Marvel,
same with X-Men. I'm pretty sure we know what we're gonna get there.
Deadpool isn't made by Marvel.
Well,
Deadpool's
it's a Marvel movie, right? Yeah.
Fox does hate each other
too.
Oh yeah, they do.
Fox made Wolverine Origins. You can suck my balls, Mr. Garrison. All right.
I don't think that trailer is misleading though. No, it's just the movie ended up being
was shit.
Yeah, well,
but the trailer looked like shit. So
hopefully 2016 has not that many misleading movies.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I'm looking forward to seeing The Witch for sure.
Yeah, that
should have come out.
I don't think that'll be misleading at all.
No, it looks like it's going to be it's kind of slow movie, but it's going to build up some serious atmosphere and tension, which is what a good horror movie does.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I guess that's it for Going Nowhere podcast.
For today, yeah. Looks like it.
Thanks for listening.
Like and subscribe.
Check out our Facebook, website, and our newly uploaded iTunes episodes.
We upload every Monday. Join us next week for another podcast.
And until next time,
we're going nowhere.
Yeah, well... Yeah, definitely. Yeah,